Some people don't cry when they're hurt. They go completely silent instead of reacting. And psychology says this is not normal behavior. It might mean something deeper is happening inside. If you go quiet when you're hurt, listen carefully. Your brain might be doing something you don't realize, and it could be protecting you in hidden ways. The people who go silent feel the most inside, but they often say the least out loud. Have you ever shut down during emotional pain? Have you ever stopped talking without knowing why? Have you ever said, "I'm fine," but weren't? Because what I'm about to explain might change everything. You are not the only one who does this. Millions of people experience this exact reaction daily, but almost nobody talks about it openly. It can feel confusing and even a little scary. You want to explain yourself, but cannot find words. You feel overwhelmed, but stay completely quiet. And people around you misunderstand your silence. They think you don't care or feel anything. They think you're being distant or cold. But inside, everything feels intense and heavy. Your mind is loud even when you're quiet. And here's the part nobody tells you. Silence does not mean you feel less. It often means you feel way too much. Psychologists have studied this behavior for years. They call it emotional shutdown through silence. It is not simply avoiding problems or conflict. It is your nervous system trying to protect you. When emotional pain becomes too overwhelming, your brain reduces your ability to respond. Instead of reacting, your system chooses stillness. Instead of speaking, your body chooses silence. This is not a conscious decision you make. It happens automatically inside your nervous system. And once you understand this pattern clearly, you will stop blaming yourself for it. You read a message and don't reply for hours. Not because you don't care about that person. You just don't know what to say anymore. Every response feels wrong or too emotional. Someone asks if you're okay and you nod, but inside you feel everything falling apart slowly. You replay conversations again and again alone, but never actually talk about them with anyone. You avoid phone calls when emotions feel heavy. You ignore texts even from people you love. You want to explain what hurt you deeply, but the words never seem to come out right. Sometimes you disappear for a while completely. You need space, but cannot explain why clearly. And later people ask why you went silent, but even then, you still don't know how. Because your feelings are real, but hard to explain. When emotional pain hits, your brain reacts fast. It treats rejection like a real physical injury. There is a part called the anterior cingulate cortex. It activates during both physical and emotional pain. So when someone hurts you emotionally, your brain feels it like actual physical damage, and your nervous system shifts into protection mode. There are three main survival responses in humans: fight, flight, and something called freeze response. Most people know fight and flight reactions well, but the freeze response is often misunderstood deeply. Freeze happens when emotions feel too overwhelming. Your body shuts down to protect your system. And here's the key thing you must understand. Silence is often part of the freeze response. Your brain reduces your ability to speak clearly. Your thoughts become harder to organize into words. You are not choosing to stay silent on purpose. Your nervous system is choosing safety for you. There is also something called emotional overload. It happens when feelings become too complex quickly. Your brain cannot process everything at the same time, so it pauses communication to reduce pressure. And that is why you suddenly go quiet. Not because you don't care about the situation, but because your brain is trying to protect you. This behavior is not weakness like people think. It is actually a hidden form of protection. Your brain is trying to keep you safe, not just physically, but emotionally as well. When something hurts too much inside, your system tries to reduce the damage quickly. Silence becomes your safest emotional shield. It blocks more pain from coming in. You are not ignoring people on purpose. You are trying to protect your inner world. And here is something important to understand. You go silent because you care deeply, not because you stopped caring completely. Your system says, "This is too much right now." so it shuts the door before things get worse. This is not emotional failure at all. This is emotional overload in real time, and your brain chooses silence to survive. To understand this pattern, we go deeper. This did not start in your adult life. It started much earlier than you think. Your brain learned this pattern over time, from repeated emotional experiences growing up. Maybe you tried to express your feelings once, and someone ignored or dismissed your emotions. Maybe you spoke honestly and got rejected, or maybe nobody listened when you needed support. So your brain learned something very important. Speaking up is not always safe emotionally, and silence became the safer option. You adapted to protect yourself from rejection. You adapted to avoid emotional pain repeating again. This is how attachment patterns begin forming. Some people develop avoidant attachment styles. They want connection, but fear emotional vulnerability. They care deeply, but struggle to express it. They feel strongly, but hide it inside quietly. So when pain appears again in adulthood, your brain uses the same old survival strategy. Silence is not random behavior. It is learned emotional protection from the past. Here is the part that changes everything. People who go silent are not emotionally weak. They are often emotionally overloaded instead. They feel more than they can express clearly. They process emotions on a deeper level, but they struggle to release them outward. What looks like coldness is not empty inside. It is actually too much happening at once. Silence is what happens when emotions overflow, and language cannot keep up with feelings. Think about that for a moment. Your silence is not absence of emotion. It is evidence of emotional intensity. And most people will never understand this, because they only see what is outside. They never see what is happening inside you. And that misunderstanding creates even more distance. So let's make something very clear right now. You are not broken for reacting this way. Your brain adapted to protect your emotions, and it did exactly what it was designed to do. Silence helped you survive difficult moments before. It helped you avoid deeper emotional pain. That means your system is actually working. But now, awareness gives you something new. You can begin to understand your own reactions. Instead of judging yourself for going quiet, you can learn to notice when it happens and slowly reconnect with your voice again. You do not need to force change instantly. You just need to understand yourself better first, because self-awareness always comes before real change. Now let me ask you something honestly. How many times have you said, "I'm fine," when you were actually hurting inside deeply? How many times did you stay completely silent, even when you wanted to explain everything? Do you recognize yourself in this pattern? Do you go quiet when emotions feel overwhelming? Or do you wish you could express more? Let me know your experience in the comments below, because your story might help someone else too. And you are definitely not alone in this. And here is something you should know. This is not the only misunderstood behavior. There is another pattern many people experience, but they never realize what it actually means. Some people avoid phone calls for similar reasons, and psychology explains that in a surprising way. If this video felt personal to you, the next one will go even deeper, because your mind has more hidden patterns than you have probably ever been told before. And once you understand them clearly, everything about yourself starts to make sense. So your silence, is it protecting you, or is it holding you back? That is something worth thinking about today.